Okay, we will go back into open session.
So I don't have very many items to go through. Mainly it was the open questions that we had. One was in the assessor's office. They had $5,000 in office equipment furniture. The explanation he gave for that is if they add new employees, they would need new computers and maybe desks. So, you wanna leave that one in there?
Yes, that's reasonable.
They won't purchase them until he gets the new employees.
It's in there.
Yeah.
It's in there, so
That's-
it's you could do the same thing you're currently going to do with the salaries themselves. You could leave it in contingency, and if he hires new people, move money for that. It's up to
I'd
you
rather
all.
leave it in contingency, so it, I mean, you know, we've told him, you know, find these 2 employees that he has in there, and we'll add their salaries to it, so we can do the same with the desk and chairs.
Jeff, what would you like? Karen wants to put it in there, so you tell us.
I'd rather leave it in contingency until he hires them and do it then.
Okay.
Okay, you changed my mind, I agree.
Yeah, well,
But it's harder to take back later on.
So I did give you a sheet here. This one here. It's just the lines that have changed since my, proposed budget to yours. I left all the salary lines out because obviously all of those should have changed with the 5.5%. This is everything else we have changed. The 2 that you can see that are highlighted are ones I would like to propose after reviewing the budget. One was the annex building supplies. I think that one should go back up. We cut it down because his earlier usage was down, but based on usage through today, I think that one needs to go back up. So propose 2,000 back in there, and then same thing with immunizations. This year was kind of the first year that we purchased all of the immunizations ourselves and not through Show Me Backs. So in looking at that, and they have another $48,000 worth of bills in there that are getting paid today that are not included in that actual activity number yet, I would propose an additional $24,200 in there. Do you guys have a problem with either of those?
I do.
Okay. And then the rest of those are changes we made as we talked, so.
That one was kind of
You had one more highlighted in
Oh,
there.
assessing costs. That one was based on actual billing to the city. That one's $2 per parcel. So that one went up based on what we actually billed the city. And that's a revenue line, not an
So if
expense
somebody
line.
has subdivision, they flat out and sell, and they'll get that many more bills. Get
If
like
it's inside the city
$2 more
limits.
per,
Inside the city
get the bill for
limits.
that. All right.
That's awesome.
We could just split some of them up and plat them as different.
We did
Your
update.
backyard is agriculture.
We did also update all the insurance amounts based on the insurance amounts you approved this morning. So all the ones that say insurance to actual is based on that percentage change in insurance. We also did workers' comp based on that renewal. Otherwise, we didn't make a ton of changes that weren't related to the sales tax to actual, insurance to actual.
If we would add all the insurance to actual changes, it comes up to the 90-some thousand, thereabouts.
Well, we did also increase some
Deductibles.
deductibles that we
Yes.
have to double. So we always
Okay.
go through each department, but she kind of,
So if I had $5,000 in there for deductibles for cars, I doubled it, so I made it
Right.
in.
Okay.
So that changed as well. So it's that 90 plus whatever the deductibles were doubled.
Got it.
it does affect quite a few accounts.
Yes.
Do you guys see anything there that? we did make 2 changes this morning in, open session as well. You'll have a new grant in 167 that will get added. And then the recruiting tool that you approved for EMS is currently not in their budget. It will get added as well. So those 2 items,
So, it is budgeted, so the,
Should save money on it for next year.
right, so in the, I can't remember the name of the account, the public notices account, we budgeted like $13,000. That $8,000 or $87.96 will now be a fixed cost, so it's actually a savings.
okay. So that one won't change the total number. I just need to add that description. Another one that is on the list of questions is part-time in the circuit clerk's office.
I did send her an email, and the response I got was that she was pulling the information and the numbers, and she called me yesterday and said she wouldn't be able to have it. She was off, and one of the other girls was off that needed to gather the information for her. But I think it really comes down to what she's asking for is to use that money for training next year. She did not specify when she came in here that she wanted to use any of it for archiving. So it's gonna be up to you guys.
See, I'd like to talk to her too, because we were gonna do that 1 year and we've been carrying that since, yeah, I'm not inclined to grant
Again,
it.
once
but-
it's in there, I don't really specify when she brings employees over here to add part-timers. I don't ask what they're doing. I don't, in any other department. If the money's allocated to her, then I think it's wide open to what she can use those people to do, I guess. Shouldn't be, because that wasn't the intent. But
Based upon what I've heard from the fellows who've been here a long time, we continue to incur an expense that isn't ours.
Correct.
And at some point, it needs to stop. And I think now is the time to stop it.
I would agree if she's
Yeah.
coming right out and saying it's not gonna be used for archiving. That was the intent.
She currently does have 2.
that goes back and forth. One of them goes back and forth to the state, to the county.
So my recommendation would be if you're going to make that change, you let those people know. Give them some time because
We don't write the check for these people?
we do,
We do.
we do. They're county employees.
What do you mean they go back and forth?
If she has money available in the state budget, she turns in their time on the state.
If she doesn't, she turns them into us.
That's strange.
What budget are we talking about?
151 is the department circuit clerk.
But if she has money in the budget, the budget that we adopt?
No, so if she has money in her state budget, she will turn them into her state budget to pay them. If she does not have money there, she will turn them into us to be paid. So we have one person that may not have any time this week, but may have time next.
pay period.
the
Well,
next
that's
pay
weird.
period. It's-
No.
I'm fine with taking it out. I think we just need to prepare the people that currently work part-time under the county side and let them know that as of January the 8th, there will no longer be funding for that position.
From county's
From
resources?
Yes, from county resources.
I guess I'm just not following how that would work, because if,
I would think your state budget would be set at the beginning of their fiscal year, so I don't know.
They still
how
got
you
6
would-
months to go on that, on the existing budget, don't they?
Yes.
Usually,
I mean, we're-
That didn't stop their increase that they're starting in January. I guess I don't know how they do that.
They're,
They're cold.
yeah, it was delayed though when they passed the budget, wasn't it?
Their COLA goes in on January 1, they're 2%.
Right, but it was
That's out of
delayed
budget.
from the budget they approved in July.
Yes, ordinarily they would increase it July 1. Instead, they said, okay, you're getting 2%, but not till January 1 of next year, which is,
That makes
you know,
sense.
2 weeks, 3 weeks away. And in addition to that, the governor has suggested in a supplemental a 5.5. Well, he'd like to go 5.5, I think, in July, but he really wants to drag it back and do it here in February.
Well, this one that seesaws back and forth, is she getting our 5.5%?
No, this is
No,
a part-time.
part-time,
employee.
okay.
So you guys tell me what you wanna do with them. You wanna take it out?
That was, we were doing it for a year. This is the one that we were doing it for a year?
Yes, and we've been doing since 2013.
If they're not archiving, I want it out of there. And the way she talked, they're gonna be used for
That's-
training, which is not our problem.
I'm with Jeff.
Me too.
Okay.
I'll send her an email
Yeah.
as of today.
So I'm taking it all out. Do you want a cushion in there for that last pay period that falls over? It's been running, it's all over the place. $500? Okay.
Is there an extra ordinarily long list of payables this period as opposed to the usual?
Long list of what?
It could be that you have everybody trying to get everything in. This last week will be the last, so next week will be the last pay run of the year for payables. So you could have everybody trying to get things in before their budget cuts off.
And before the next payroll, just because, or accounts payable, because they may be on vacation during Christmas time.
Okay.
So are you guys okay if I leave $500 in there for that pay period that crosses over the end of the year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Social Security on it as well. We didn't really touch on EMS salaries. I don't know if you all came up with any changes you wanted to make to EMS salaries.
This is just all per the step thing for the most part, isn't it? Okay. Was there something else that,
I have a
Oh.
feeling that's why
No.
he's here.
No,
Nope.
if there are questions or concerns. The only real issue that we continue to see is that in certain eyes, the EMTs feel that their hourly rate is below minimum wage. Now, that is not necessarily the case when you look at their yearly salary, but when you break it down by per hour, there is that complaint. I don't necessarily agree with the complaint, but that is something that I will just put out there so that it's acknowledged.
but if we were to go to a minimum wage of $15 an hour for those folks that you're talking, it's like a $6 raise, isn't it? Or $4, $5? For that starting?
$9.35 would be the lowest.
Okay, 935 to 15 times the massive
So
number of
minimum
hours.
wage is only 11.
Well, no, well, I'm just going to, some, I don't know if it's getting to be accepted that $15 is really the minimum wage, maybe not by statute, but by practice. Is that, and did you mention 15? or
No,
not?
no,
You didn't.
so
Okay.
I'm going off the 11, whatever
Oh,
the
I
state
see.
minimum
Okay.
wage is. That is the complaint.
It's $10.30 at the moment, and it's gonna go to 11.15 in 2022.
The problem with the way their grid is now, we backed into that hourly wage. we went to the annual
Salary.
salary, and then we backed in because of all the built-in overtime.
Right.
So, I think if the ending salary is not right, then we look at it again. But if the ending salary is where they need to be, I know, obviously, they have to work more hours to
Right.
get to that ending salary.
I think that is, it's an interesting argument, right? So that ultimately they make significantly more than what minimum wage is, but we're requiring them to work more hours to make that wage. So it just depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, if you're indeed working 24 hours, it's one thing. So that's kind of where that comes into, and then you have
Right.
the overtime that's generated in there with them, with the 24 hours, 48-hour shifts, I guess, so.
I think that may be a bigger
Yes.
discussion of possibly, I think we need to look at those scales during the year this year.
Sure.
To take a look back and make sure that we've kept up with the COLAs that have happened. And we did make an adjustment to the paramedics last year.
Correct.
So I think that EMT and dispatcher need to be reviewed, but I don't know that pushing it through right this second is the best idea. Maybe that's something that needs to be evaluated and adjusted.
And with Sheila to go to the market. and-
That's what I was going to go with, that is go to market, and what, we have to match the market.
Yeah,
I would agree. So my suggestion would be, is that we evaluate this for next year's budget, but in the meantime, we would bridge it with whatever COVID, premium pay,
Premium.
which would alleviate some of that argument.
Okay.
And then next year, we look at making that a permanent change by addressing the pay scale.
So we will would take a second or third or fourth look at the grid.
Sure.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. The grid probably needs to be looked at, because when we set it up, we never anticipated, I wasn't here, but there was never an anticipation of a 5.5% COLA.
Right, but in the first step, you get about a 5% raise, and so we were getting 2% on the other employees, so I think it's a chance they were taking doing it that way, because, it's gonna be front-loaded, so.
The
but
only-
it's worth taking a look
the
at,
only-
I'm not opposed to that.
The only real issue that I have in trying to, wrap my mind around the grid is there comes a point where you get punished for longevity, and I think that's where the conversation probably needs to center around, is what do we do at the top of the pay scale. This year, we've included,
We did include $1,000, a flat $1,000 for anyone that's over step 7.
but there is no mechanism to adjust for cost of living on that top end of the pay scale. So I don't necessarily think that we need to, outside of the EMT piece, move the entire pay scale by the cost of living adjustment, because as Jeff said, they are getting a step raise every single year, but it's more of addressing what are we doing at the top end.
So if you add their percentages across the 7 years, they receive 20.7% over a 7-year period.
Okay, but my argument would be, when that was implemented,
Right.
nobody dreamt of 5.5% cost of living increases for everybody else.
I agree.
So, okay. I think it needs to be looked at deeper, but not today.
Yes, I would agree.
Okay,
I'm fine with that.
I'm good with that.
I did have another question for you. On your capital list, originally, we had, and I may have asked you this, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating it. I think we had radios, laptop cradles, and antennas on the list. Are those items now going to be included in the cost of your ambulance?
So it depends on how we want to do it. We can certainly price it out that way, or we can purchase it out of the capital fund as a separate item to.
What's the bottom dollar? Because if that bottom dollar's included in your 300,000 per ambulance, then we can take it out of the radios and other stuff, right?
So you're talking about $23,000 for additional items to fit that ambulance? I almost would like to track that cost as a cost of an ambulance, so you can truly say, to purchase a new ambulance, it costs me X, because I have to purchase these items to go with it. But it's up to you guys. In the past, we have always done the physical purchase of the ambulance in the ambulance line and any equipment out of the capital improvement line.
Hence, some of my comment earlier is that the purchase sticker on the ambulance was a certain amount, but to get them on the road, it was substantially more money to outfit them and get them to that point. So some of that hasn't been included in the RFP for simplification of ordering, but there's also the radio piece. And to also throw that in, those 3 radios won't be necessary if we get the ARPA funding to purchase the radio order that the sheriff is trying to get through. So it's there's 3 different avenues we can go here. I'm not sure that I can recommend one today because it also depends on ARPA.
Well, we might not even be spending that money in 2022 if we don't get the ambulances.
Correct.
So, we won't spend it until we physically have the ambulances.
So I'm fine with leaving it in there at the moment as kind of a placeholder. If we do get those items from somewhere else, we either don't spend it or we reallocate it to something else. It's about $23,000.
Yeah, there's other things that don't come as part of the ambulance to get it on the road. I mean, it's just like the sheriff's vehicles too. They come ready for us to put our stickers and radios and antennas and
Well, and
laptops and stuff. So.
we hope that we reuse as much as we can from
Correct.
previous ambulances. It's just sometimes
Yeah.
that's not the case when you're switching models or makes or types or
Right.
whatever.
And when we were looking at trying to develop a price, I obviously wanted to be on the highest end possible so that we can, over plan and I guess under
I'd
deliver.
rather do that too, so
So-
I'm fine with that. I'd rather come back and say, well, it wasn't as much as you
Right.
thought, so we got money left over. Now you can put tires on the thing.
Exactly. Maybe
If you have
some,
free radio, that antenna's gonna cost you about 25,000.
Yeah, that's right.
it's the gas I'm worried about.
Yeah, amen.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna be a fun one too. Yeah, I'm fine just leaving it in there as is right now, Chris, and we'll just, if that works for you.
I have to find it. So then, that takes care of that one, that one, that one. Locks adjustments, we don't have that list. I also don't have maintenances list if there were any other adjustments.
Did we approve all the other adjustments?
Huh? Yeah,
So all of them that were requested were approved?
no,
There was,
we took some
I
out
don't-
and we went through the uprest.
With the 5.5, I don't think, as far as Greg's, I don't think we need that 10,000 if that's what you're talking about.
I thought it was 20.
Huh?
I thought he said 20 initially.
Well, that was his salary, that was
20 for
him.
him, which we did adjust his,
Yeah,
but
we
not by
adjusted
that
his.
much, and then 10 for
10
his
for,
employees,
to
but-
divide, so I
So-
think,
I'm just gonna kinda go down, I think in the order that you had gone. We had a couple of them for the administrator,
Yeah, so the 2 for the public administrator are in there.
the recorder, then I want to note about IT.
We
Was
took
that one?
IT out,
You took it out?
yep.
Okay.
we
I was
decided,
just writing them all down, so I don't know which ones we approved.
we decided with the COLA,
Maintenance
that
on the custodian,
So
it went up.
the one custodian went to the $15 an hour, and then you added one for Greg,
What was that amount?
1809.89. You took him to a flat 60,000.
Okay.
I'm not
well,
sure you
for
guys
the-
have the newest one, because these got adjusted as we talked about.
In health, we had the front desk.
Front desk and the environmental guys.
Specialist, okay,
And then they had a couple that were under the 15, so.
okay.
But again, those got adjusted down based on the 5.5.
Yeah,
They didn't get more than the $15 an hour. Like, my adjustment was more because I only had 4%. When we went to 5.5, their adjustment went down to still just get them to that point.
Right, gotcha. Okay,
Then we had three in juvenile.
yeah. Prosecutor, we talked about,
So prosecutor, I
No.
added those two in today based on those two pay forms, but I don't have any other adjustments.
he's asking
from him.
75,000
75,000 was his
to
request.
just kind of divide.
He said 3 o'clock today,
Yeah, I'm not, with, without clarification, that's a big chunk of money.
then what do we decide in parks? Did we add?
Parks was the full-time position and the part-time position.
We added those in to Public Works and
No,
1.5 or,
1.5 in parks, so they will actually truly have a person and a half in 172 in general fund.
okay,
Public Works, we didn't do any adjustments. And they replaced 1 for 1, so they didn't add another person either.
eliminated one, added two smaller.
So if they
Assessor.
wanted to take the higher paid position that retired and create 2, they only created 1, so 1 for 1.
Oh, okay, so we'll get one.
Yep.
Assessor's got a couple of them was requesting, we said bring us the people, we'll,
Mm-hmm.
So yes, his 2 are approved as long as he brings them here first.
Mm-hmm.
we got law enforcement, the training lieutenant, half the SRO and the jail detective.
No jail.
We took out the
detective.
jail,
Did
yeah.
No
take-
jail
okay.
detective, so
I
just
had
the
it marked out in
SRO.
this note, and then I had it over here on this note, so. These were your notes that you were going through, and I just didn't get to catch up, so.
And then he currently has the money for a 1% merit and a 4% increase for his part-time.
Okay, so then the part-time, that's gonna bring them up to more competitive stuff. I guess, I mean, why wouldn't you do them more, John? Are you able to fill them all right then if it's,
Well,
If you bump it
oh,
forward.
I'm not been able to fill in, but what it's doing by doing that, it's stopping the bleed again, because we haven't done anything with my part-time in a long time. And, the reason why I went with 4%, because originally that's what the code was gonna be, so I put 4%, so they don't
Okay.
say the same thing. But we don't have the money to change that, so.
well, I know I probably about made you faint when I said, why didn't you ask for more, but
You did.
sorry about
I
that.
passed out more back
I
up
made sure
real
you were
quick.
sitting down. Okay,
But,
So then the
I don't
one-
know if you all want to talk about other part-time. We did not adjust any other part-time.
Usually it's been, you get so much money for part-time, and you decide if you need to use part of that money for an increase for the current ones. Right, wrong? That's just kind of,
so if they get a $20,000 pool for part-time, they got $20,000 to pay them $10 an hour or $20 an hour.
well, in that case, then I request an increase of $4,200 in my part-time monies.
if I get the pay form and it seems unreasonable, that's why I bring them to you.
But I mean, okay, so they could pay them $9 an hour or $10 an hour.
We have made some adjustments
So-
to part-time over the last couple of years. I think sheriff included, to try to get those 2 more competitive and try to draw those people in. We have very few that are under, I think I only see 2 possibly that are under $12 an hour. Maybe 3. Because I think 2 of those public works ones are no longer
And what's the
here.
1% merit come up to for a total?
In his department, I think it was like 31 or 32,000.
32.8, I believe.
I actually have that. Let me look. Are you watching me?
Trying to see how.
31,576.97.
How much was it?
31,576.97.
So it's not near as much as what I thought.
So he did not include anybody that's been here less than,
They gotta be in the position for more than 6 months before they're eligible.
and he did not include any open positions either.
How much was it? 30?
31,576.97.
I'd like to do a 32,000. So,
So I will tell you, in looking at the budgets, once we've made the changes that you had there in front of you, law enforcement is balanced. Public Works has a deficit.
How about stating that the law enforcement budget is balanced versus the law enforcement is balanced?
The law enforcement budget is balanced.
Good point.
And Public Works is never, Public Works is not, it's,
Well, they have to balance.
Yeah,
Well-
they have to balance, but like true revenue in and expenditures out without contingency or cash forward. That's where I'm talking.
Yeah.
So,
And insurance did it to them this time.
yeah, insurance didn't help. I think it was about $32,000 in Public Works that created some of that. Theirs has been a little more flexible with creating that deficit because, like I said, if you have a bad winter or you don't have a bad winter, we kind of take a guess on what we think those items are going to be. Some years are good years, some years are bad years.
When we when we pay deductibles, do we charge that to the department that incurred it?
Yeah, well, in general fund, it all goes into general accounts. If you are in the law enforcement fund, Public Works, EMS, yes.
Okay.
if the sheriff would stop hitting deer,
I'm working on that for you.
It's going to really affect their budgets
Appreciate
this
it.
year, both of them, what the deductibles doubling.
What's that?
It's going to affect your budgets. both the
Yeah,
deductibles.
she'd already made you we've already had changed some stuff.
Um,
That was a nice little piece of information yesterday.
So, and for the first time ever, general fund's in the black by about $86,000.
It can switch very quickly.
Yes,
It can
yes.
change. You see all those transfers, and most of all those transfers are coming out of 127.
yeah,
So,
then we're good.
if there's
So-
other things you guys want to talk about, other adjustments you want to make,
On the,
I do know there are other people that would love to have merit money if you would give it out.
Yes. And I'll just say a speech on that. If you're gonna give it to other departments for merit or a flat dollar amount of a pool to make adjustments, I think that's merit. And I think if you do it for one, you should do it for everybody else within general fund for sure.
I think 5.5% COLA is really good. I think first year I came in, didn't we do like a 3% COLA and 2% merit?
No.
Or We did a merit,
we
the
have
first
never-
year I came in, we did a merit.
Yes,
It was
we
on
did a
3 and
merit.
2.
it was close to that, back when Greg was still sheriff. That's absolutely true.
2 and 2.
I was
It's
gonna
the
say,
best-
I
Was it
think
2
the
and 2?
biggest
I
we've
just
ever done
know
is
we
2 and
did
2.
we did COLA and a merit. And I got more
You can look at that history.
complaints on how the merit was divided.
Well, merit is based on evaluations. If you do a flat cost like Debbie's talking
Yeah.
about, that's COLA. If you just get a pool of money and you split it amongst your people evenly, well, then I need to go back and revisit because I want the same for my people. Not
Well-
everybody's eligible for mine, because I say if you've been there less than 6 months, you're not eligible for merit. So if we're gonna do flat amount, then I need to do readjustment on mine.
I think merit's hard to do within the county because there is so much difference between departments.
And how everybody does the evaluations.
And how everybody thinks everybody else's departments works or doesn't work.
I mean, because in
I
John's,
should make more money
in
than
John's
you.
department, he has the ability to
harder.
divide that
It's
31,000
construction You're just
different
salesman.
ways. When you limit mine to be 1%, it's, hey, I only have 1% to give. So it makes a difference. When you have a pool of over 100 people to pull from and say you get none and you get some and you get more, it's different when you only have one, maybe two employees to say, I can't steal from anybody, you get what you get and you don't get any more. So merit's hard to do, and some departments don't do merit correctly.
No,
They give it across the board like it's a COLA, and that's not what it's intended for.
I was a newbie, and boy, I heard it too from employees who,
And we've had years where someone goes in and says, this type of employee gets merit and this type doesn't. That's not really fair either.
But then the new person comes in and says, my people are out of whack. So then we have to fix that.
So merit has created a lot of salary issues over the years because it's not been done the way it
correctly.
should.
So what you have in there now is basically the COLA for all, except for the EMS follows a different schedule. And a few adjustments based on the position. And of course, the 1% in the sheriff. Would that be a clear statement?
So, I've gone through all the issues I have to talk about. Do you guys have other things you want included or you want to talk about?
Well, I guess we're waiting on the adjustments for Locke's office, prosecutor. And that's, 75,000 is the request, that's gonna be split up a certain way. So it's getting a lot bigger, merit pool,
Yeah.
if you wanna call it that.
But yes, that
to
would
use
be
that
a
office, so-
significant merit pool.
And that's just what I'm struggling with on that one, because I thought,
What's,
some of these others were very reasonable.
What's the total payroll line for that before or after that, as a percent, what is it?
Just for his department.
Yeah, right.
So total at the moment for his department would be with the 5.5% or without?
After the 5.5% is put there, we have a number.
So total.
And 75,000 over that number, what is the percent?
Damn, I had these numbers memorized, it's 70.
It's almost 7%.
7% on top of 5.5, okay.
Ready for
And,
two big adjustments.
well, it was just approved this morning on top of that, so.
I don't think the
Yeah, okay,
time of
so
year-
if you pull those other two salaries off of their total, it grows
even
more than
higher.
7.5%.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that seems steep. I'd be in favor of limiting it to about 5% or something, 4 or 5.
Above,
Yes. That takes his, that 75 and knocks it in half, not in half, but I don't know, whatever.
And if we're
Well,
just
5.5% of his salaries is 45,472.
How about 37.5, we cut it in half.
And without having his plan.
No.
Without
Well, he-
knowing what he wants to do with that, I don't think that's a,
Well, we just told him to come back this afternoon with a plan that adds the 75. Didn't we?
you gave him till this afternoon.
Right. 3 o'clock, he said he was gonna try to get it done by 3 o'clock. I guess what we're then saying, we're pushing back and saying, we don't care what you have that adds to 75 because 75 is too tall, too big.
I think that would be very fair to say.
Okay, so,
Can I request another 5?
Yeah, and then I'm gonna come back to the table.
I just said it, I'm saying no to 75,000. That's what I thought you just said. We're saying no, we're gonna either reduce it to X number, but we're not, whatever he brings us at the $75,000 split is not gonna be approved.
Reduce it to a different number? Are you reducing it because he thinks his
I didn't s-
attorneys are out of whack of what they're
I didn't even pick a number. I don't know. I didn't pick a number. I'm just telling you what Harry was saying, is that the proposed thing is that we're gonna have to tell him it's gonna be.
Well, we're giving him merit money, is what we're giving him. And I know
I'm not arguing for or against, I was just clarifying.
that first year when we gave merit, and
I'll be ready to argue in a second.
I heard complaints from up there because his predecessor gave it all to the attorneys and the office staff and others didn't get squat. And,
well, if we just say no to 75, can he reach in that other bucket?
Not if you don't agree to the MOU.
Well, we talked ourselves out of an MOU, right?
Hope so.
but this is basically, that's merit money where he's asking for.
We just asked for merit money this morning that we
I-
approved. Just,
For two people.
yeah.
Okay.
So that
Just to move this thing, the nimbus, you know what a nimbus is? It's a cloud. So to move the nimbus, the cloud, I'm saying when he comes back with 75,000, we cut it in half to 37.5, and whatever, if he said 10,000 for that person becomes 5. And I'm happy to lose this, and we just move on. But we spend too much time agonizing over these things, and we don't come to conclusions quick enough, in my opinion. So,
And I'll just reiterate, I think that is a merit, no matter what dollar amount you come up with. So if you do that.
All the
then-
adjustments have been merits, essentially.
Well, I think you should ask for $25,000 for,
You gotta quit
Commission.
telling people that, Sam.
per commission office, the commission, our staff. No different?
So-
I'm not saying it's
supposed to be
different.
on lunch hour. What's going on here now?
Again, that's not merit. So if you want to do a salary adjustment, which I think is what you're talking about, because there's no rhyme or reason why you're giving the money out, you're giving it out, that's a salary adjustment. I go back to merit is based on your evaluation, based on a formula.
So how's he making the adjustment? He's taking that 75,000,
I don't
making an
know.
adjustment
I don't
based
know.
on some kind
I'm
of
just wanting to make sure
merit
you
or
differentiate the fact
objective
that
goals or something, so.
The way you're doing it,
you have to differentiate. A merit raise is based on a formula. A salary adjustment is based on, hey, you do a good job for me, here's some extra money for you.
yeah. I agree. Sometimes you're
There's-
pretty smart,
That's
John.
not merit.
I guess I feel like if you're gonna give him till the end of the day, you may as well ask everybody to go back
Open
and
it up.
Yeah,
give
I
me
think
end
so.
of the day.
Tell everybody to send them on it. I might just be a blanket no, that'd make it easier. But
Okay. Well,
I just think
are we
that
good
he
with,
got the adjustments he has.
are we good with what you presented then, other than the prosecuting attorney?
I think we need to let him know something, because if he's gonna sit down and go through this and make some kind of proposal, and we're gonna be a no to 75
Well,
or a no to
I
35
think
or
he
no.
needs to explain why.
There's no sense in him sitting and agonizing on how to split 75 when the answer is 0. So we owe him that courtesy.
Okay.
So if you guys want to say that you get a pot to split, but it adds to 0, and there's no negatives or positives, it's just 0. So why would he go through the exercise? I suggested it be a 37.5. I haven't heard a second. So whatever you guys want to do.
Have 1 0. Are you a 0?
I'm a 0 right now because I
Okay.
can't just see,
But if he gives
taking
you
a pot of money
proposal,
and saying
he might
I want-
change his mind.
I want this to divide among my department.
Can we adopt a sort of like a 2-minute filibuster rule, and after that,
Your timer starts now. You need one of those little things.
Yeah.
Just flip it
You know-
over and when the timer
So without
runs out,
a
you're
really,
done.
really good reason why they deserve the $75,000, I'm no right now.
I think you'll have a lot of people up there with really good reasons to give a lot of their people raises. It wouldn't just end at his office. I mean, we got-
Well, and then we're talking
we got a lot of
premium
really good
pay
people.
besides, so it's like, why, hell, where do we stop?
Well, you gotta,
I'm done with the budget unless you all tell me to change something.
I'm good, I think.
So there will be changes. I can't say that I'm done. There will be changes. So, we will wait until the end of the year. We will fill in cash forward as actually what is in the bank. There are a few, probably 15 or 20 accounts that, by statute get to carry forward their money into the next year, whatever it is. So we'll change all of those carry forward amounts, and update those, but that should be the change that happens between now and when you adopt the budget in January.
What's the date you're shutting the budget down?
We have one more account.
The last budget run will be due Friday, paid out next Tuesday,
And what day is that?
the
December.
21st.
December 21st is the last day we can input anything?
No, the 17th,
17th is the last day. Okay.
yes.
I've been in Vegas, man.
Oh my
In
goodness.
my head.
Are you messing with my TV or what?
I don't know why that does that sometimes.
So, unless
Okay,
you guys have changes between now and then, the budget is done other than.
our quick response
okay,
vehicles.
but we've got a guy upstairs that might be agonizing over his schedule that has a 75. He needs to be told, you're wasting your time,
Okay,
all right? Somebody
Okay.
gonna tell him?
sure.
Okay.
She's the boss.
I gotta go tell Donna. You're gonna tell her.
We got mom and we got the boss. Oh,
Jill approved it, so now you all have to review it, and I'm gonna come back at the end of the day. The yellow are the things that you all have to decide on, that's just plugged in so that it wouldn't rise.
okay.
We're coming back at 3? 3 to hit,
Jill has blessed it.
okay.
well, we can do it right now.
Yeah, I
So-
don't know why.
Yeah,
Well, you have to read through
I-
it, Jill,
I-
you can't, you have to read through it, don't read it and say, yeah, I blessed it. You don't know what I put in there.
And I have two suggestions. One would be that we do not implement premium pay until we adopt the new salary schedule.
So that changes dates, isn't it?
That would be my suggestion. And two, I would also like to have BKD read our policy before you guys adopt it.
yes.
I would like to run it by them, so I don't know that you can necessarily do it today.
But we can't wait until next Tuesday, because it cuts you too short on the payroll.
Well,
No,
if
I'm
you're-
sorry,
If you're not going to do it until we adopt this, this is not effective until January the 10th.
got it,
I-
okay.
I'm
Now-
fine with that, cause we have a date that we're going with.
Okay, I
I mean, I
forgot.
wanted to get it going.
We don't have the critical,
The time crunch is not as much if we're not going to do it before the end of the year.
okay, and we're not.
So my suggestion would be that we submit this draft policy to BKD today.
Perfect,
Yes.
We will try to get it back on the agenda next week.
okay?
So hopefully we will have the policy in place. If we have that policy in place, then we can start accumulating the documentation with the proposed effective date of January the 10th.
All right,
And 9th.
And just so that we know, Kristen wants to approve it by, well, everybody wants to have it blessed by BKB. They tentatively have blessed it by the email they sent us last week, saying that the definition has been expanded and could include county employees,
okay.
based on the information they gave us. So
So-
it's basically a formality to
Yes.
have them
Yes.
review it, so it
And
should go
also,
pretty quickly.
when we get to that point, if it is approved and everything's done, I still like their ability to review the documentation together.
Yeah, we need to make sure that we have in the policy all of the items that we need to accumulate to document.
And we plagiarized just a little bit on a county in Kansas that is also,
Of the one they gave to
we
us
took
as
the
a
bones,
sample.
all right? And they are a BKD client as well.
Yes.
And this does not apply to elected officials.
No,
It does not.
It does to department.
department heads, but not elected officials.
Okay. Just want to clarify that.
Sorry, I used January 10th. The first day of that pay period is
But not-
January the 9th.
All right.
Okay.
So we're not coming back this afternoon.
Not unless you guys need to, no.
No, I'd say we don't need to.
Well, they need to review it and say, yes, we send it on to BKD.
Yeah,
Oh,
if
yeah,
you
okay,
can just
yes.
Give us a
Well,
verbal okay
yes,
that you're
do
willing
that.
to send it to them.
Yes,
I
yes.
think they can review the draft at the same time they are,
Okay.
unless you guys have significant changes that you want.
Well, I'm good with that.
So we're not,
All right, so I can make a motion
I think.
that we adjourn, or stand in recess until 4:30, I'm sorry.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we will get that back on the agenda for Tuesday.
So you're not coming back, are we coming back?
So on this, the pay thing, there's no COLA
No.
for 2022, so that need to be up in remarks. I signed it and wrote a note there, but I want to make sure that it is, that's, I know it's in
in
the,
the closed minutes.
Yes.
I maybe think that this amount includes your COLA,
Right in there.
yeah,
Okay, I can do
include,
that.
I mean,